Well, hey guys, welcome back to Waters Family Homestead. Look, already giving them some scraps today, giving them scratch a couple times a day, and they still come down here like, give us some more, give us some more. I got 4 eggs from the Wyandottes today. Now, I got 3 eggs from the Blue Orpingtons, so that's 3 eggs out of 6 hens for 4 days. That's not enough to cover their feed. And I've got 7 Rhode Island Reds over here and 2 Barnyard Mix. So there's 9 hens over here. I got 8 eggs. So that's a total of 15 today. There's 21 hens. That's the best single egg day I've had in a while. But that's because the Blue Orpingtons laid 3 eggs. I mean, I haven't gotten any from them in 4 days. So 3 eggs every 4 days is not going to pay their feed bill. They got to do better than that, or they will be going to the freezer camp here pretty soon. So we'll see how that works out. All right, and I'm going to walk back here. I'm not going to leave the video on while I walk, but I'm going to walk back here to where we typically hunt and where we do range training and stuff back here in the woods, and I'm going to show you what I've been doing for the last hour and a half. My oldest daughter and her husband, son-in-law, came out today with their 2 boys just for a few hours. I wanted to know exactly where he wanted to put his stand, and I asked him to come out and tell me that so I could work on it, so we could either get a stand there, or he's got a blind he wants to put up, or and get the shooting lanes cleared, you know, all the underbrush knocked down so we could see to shoot if that's what, you know, we wanted to do. So I'm going to pause it right here, and I'm going to pick it back up when I get back here. So those of you that's watched the other videos, this is where I was planning on bringing the first paddock for the goat pen fence through, and then I get to those big down trees that I've got to cut with a chainsaw. They're too big for me to move with my tractor. Now I did all that clearing with a skid steer, which is a lot heavier and a lot stronger than my little 35 horse tractor. I think it's a 30, but either way, it's not strong enough to move the trees that I took down with skid steer. So I ended up doing it behind the chicken pen and all that, and that's fine. That'll be the first paddock up there. The second one, I've got to get through those fallen trees there to get a fence ran through. But his original spot he's hunted the last 2 or 3 years has been on this old piece of rug he had here with a canvas blind set over it. And last year he felt like a couple of deer might have saw him. And of course I've done a lot more clearing and thinning out the last month or so. And he wants to move further back into the woods. And what we discussed was he's probably going to set his deer blind up back here. A little further back in. I pushed what I'd done pushed over further back. So he's got a good place he can put it there. The problem is putting it back there is he doesn't have a lot for a left-hand shot for the trail where we come in. But you can see the feeder straight ahead. I've just got to take all this small undergrowth out and clear up the woods over here some so that we've got a much cleaner shot. So that's what I'm going to be working on here pretty soon. But this big old oak tree right here, we used to have a deer stand on. We built one. So it had a long ladder, like 16-foot ladder that went up. And you could sit 2 grown-ups in there with a youngin' or whatever, but it's been there for 10 years, close to it, probably 8 or 9 at least, and it's fallen off the tree. You can still see the holes where the big screws went through, but all that has fallen off the tree. The lumber's basically rotted away. So I went ahead and cleaned all around it to where we can get to it now. We couldn't even get to it a week ago. So we're over here close to the rain side, but you see, I cleared this side here a lot and pushed it all back. I left the oak. I took down all the crap that wasn't going to be a good tree and just kept pushing it back. So my goal is to get it all pushed back into that drainage ditch back there and just let it rot in that ditch and cover it with dirt and, so on. Get it thinned up to where we can actually see through it and hunt through it and all that. But if we rebuild, I'm going to stand right in front of the tree. If we rebuild a stand right here, the furthest back feeder is on the other side of that big twin oak tree over there. So if I step to the right, about 4 feet, maybe I'm at the wrong tree. Y'all know I'm about half blind. I can't even see it, but pretty sure it's right straight through there. So I got to take out all this underbrush here and here, and then thin out that left side some, that direction, so we can have better shots over there when they come to that feeder. Now, there's one cedar tree that I'm not going to take down back there because the bucks have been rubbing on that thing for the last 4 or 5 years. That thing's about 5 inches round, but we've had a few nice bucks that really rub on it, and they got a lot of scrapes in that little area back there. But you can see the front feeder over here, really easy. And then of course we don't want to shoot that way because that's where the training classroom is for the range and all of that on that side. But I did thin it up here, and there's a lot of deer tracks back here. They did find that scratch feeds that I put in the feeders, and we filled them up with corn today. So if they come back in and check, that's gonna get them coming in here for a while. And my son-in-law usually comes on Fridays, sometimes early in the week like Monday or over the weekend, and then he'll come back on Friday before he goes hunting, or Thursday, because during hunting season he's off on Fridays. So that would give him, time to come in and fill the feeders up so they come back on it. But we try to keep some feed in there and not let them run out. So that'll bring the deer in this way. But the thing is you can see the area here in front of this feeder, and then I've got a clear trail back to that feeder, and then it comes back over across here and then back to here. So I want to thin out all that underbrush so we can get better shots and see them better, and eventually get all the small junk out from back here and just have the pretty big oak trees and the walnuts and this, all that. I don't want any cedar trees. And of course the previous got to go. So, but there's quite a bit back here. I have been seeing acorns. They're starting to drop now from the trees. So the deer have already started coming back, looking for feed. And with the acorns dropping, they normally don't even mind where you've been clearing. They'll come in and eat the new growth that pops up. Deer are curious, so they will come into this. But we're thinking about rebuilding a stand on this tree, probably 12 to 15 feet up. And we want to build it big enough that you can, some of my grandchildren can go up in the stand with an adult. So at least 2 people, if not room for 3. But what I was talking with him about is once we build the platform, a nice solid platform that'll hold, 2 or 3 people with the ladder to get up to it, and then we'll build a rail around it about 3 feet up, and we'll cover that bottom portion with OSB, and then we'll leave about a 10-inch gap and with another frame around us to hold more OSB. So you really kind of like having a window to shoot through, and that should really help us have a much more successful hunt back here. And we were discussing his feeder that tore up the first week he used it. So I don't know what all we're going to do there, but I'm going to get back here with the backhoe, and with my tractor, backhoe bucket, and thin out all this little stuff. And then once I get the stuff down that the lawnmower can't take out, then I'll come in with the lawnmower with the deck raised and just chop everything up that I can, and leave nice shooting paths through all the woods here. And typically we harvest 5 to 7 from back here every year, which that people go, on your little piece of land? Yes, because there's just hundreds and hundreds of acres surrounding me, and no one hunts that direction within 3/4 of a mile to a mile. And the ones that do hunt, they hunt the other side of that pine orchard. There's a food plot back there, And there's a creek about a mile straight back into the woods as it drops down. So, you know, we've got some turkey and some, I haven't seen hogs, but we've had turkeys and coyotes, fox, you know, of course, deer, all that come up from that direction. We have them come from this way in. So that's why I want to thin up all this stuff here. Now, when winter gets here, of course, it'll naturally die back. But in South Georgia, it's warm the first half of deer season. And I'm hoping to harvest 2 or 3 myself this year and process them and get them put in the freezer. So my son-in-law normally gets anywhere from 2 or 3 a year, the oldest one. And then my other son-in-law and my son both may hunt some back here if they have the time. So that's kind of the idea. I want to clear all the way back to this corner here. All this in the middle, I got to get thinned out. There's not a whole lot of big trees in here, but I want to leave the young, healthy trees that have room to grow and take down all the junk that the deer and the wildlife just don't care for. So anyway, that's the idea. We'll get back up here. I'm going to check for more eggs. I gathered them early because my grandyoungins, my grandboys were here, the oldest ones. And I've got 1 or 2 hens that like to lay late in the day. So I'm going to see if there's any more. But so far today we had a 15 egg day, which is the best day I've had in a very long while. I've had a few 14s, but I had one day I collected 15, but I found 6 of those 15 up under that nesting box in the middle pen, where some of those younger hens were getting up under there and laying. And that's why I lowered the nesting box and made it where they couldn't get in there. So I know they weren't all laid in one day. So today, I know they were all laid today. I only had 2 on the ground, and they were in the young teenagers pen here. So it's coming along. And I know y'all seen the short that I did, a little old short video, I think come out Tuesday, where I'm trying to use pallets to build the stalls for the goats and the dog here. I'm hoping I can get some plans together to get out here and get the big post put in the ground. And, you know, if I can do that, then I can start working on actually running the fence and get it done to where maybe I can move Sparky, go ahead and move him in there. And when I'm able to, get a few goats. And I'm hoping that they'll all become like family, so he'll help protect the goats. And I can get him off that cable in the front. But y'all see, all the chickens are doing well. Since I redid the little separator fence / gate over here, it's worked really, really well. I haven't had any issues with the chickens trying to get through it. And as you can see, let me see if I can turn that. It hooks down there at the bottom, and then it hooks up here at the top. And you just push toward the pole and pull up, and it opens. And, you know, I'm trying to keep them separate. I want to see which hens are being productive and which ones are paying their way, so to speak. If they're not laying eggs, guys, unless you're just raising them as pets, there's no reason for a homestead to have a bunch of livestock, whether it's chickens or anything, that aren't benefiting the farm. And right now, these Wyandottes, 3 eggs for 4 days, and there's 6 hens. You know, if they were all laying, that'd be 2 dozen eggs. Instead, I got 3 single little eggs. So they are way down on their egg laying, and I'm just not going to keep an animal around that's costing me more to feed it than I'm getting out of it. Because y'all know I sell eggs to my family and my friends, and you know, I supply my direct children with eggs, and I do help some people out that I know can use help buying groceries and such. I give some away, but I count those given away as if I sold them. So, you know, that tells me whether I'm spending too much for feed or not. And yes, the way I feed my animals with those 10-pound feeders they never run out of food. So yes, it's a much more expensive way to raise your chickens. But since I've let them scratch in this big run area at free will all day, every day, my feed bill has dropped by half. And I can tell that whichever pen the turkeys are in, they do a pretty good dent into those feeders as well. And you know, once I can tell which one is the females and which one's the males are going to the freezer. They're going to be processed and put in the freezer for Thanksgiving, Christmas, or whatever holidays, you know, but they're going to the freezer because the guy I bought them from has already let them breed in their own gene pool a few times, and he said he wouldn't suggest doing that again. So if I have a female, which I'm thinking this brown one here is one, but I could be wrong. If I have a female, I'm going to keep her. But the males are going to get processed, and I'm going to get me a male from somewhere else. So that's the idea anyway. I want a couple of females and at least one male, and, you know, try to have a breeding stock at all times if that's what I want to do. So that's what I've been up to, guys. There's still a whole lot of work to do on a homestead. I don't know anybody that's on a homestead on any channel I follow or anybody in real life that there's not always 15 projects going on or being ready to be started at one time. That's just the life of a homesteader, life of a small farm. And, you know, that's part of it. I enjoy getting out here and working and doing things. So I'm not complaining about it. I hope y'all are enjoying your lives, and, you know, hopefully some of you are getting into prepping and storing food and water and medical supplies and defense items, firearms and ammunition. And, you know, I'm not a bow person. I've always wanted to. I've just never had the time and the resources to get into bow hunting, but that's also a good thing to do, you know. But I think the way the country's going, the way the world's going, guys, we are headed for a major crash on the economic side of things. And this country's never been anything through that. Even in the Great Depression in the 30s, at least money was worth something. It's just nobody had money. But, you know, it's a whole different ballgame when the money you have is worth nothing. You know, there's going to be a lot of bartering and that stuff going on. So, in the way I see things prepping wise is the chickens and the chicken eggs are going to be worth a lot more when you can't go to the store and buy it, because either you can't afford it or the money's just no good because they're in the middle of trying to come up with a new currency. So, you know, I'm a strong believer in precious metals, stocking gold and silver, you know, if you can, old junk jewelry, you know, all that stuff really down the road is going to be worth something. So if y'all aren't doing that, you know, I strongly suggest that you do, because if the dollar collapses, the gold is still worth gold worldwide. It's been an item worth money, worth value or whatever since, you know, Jesus's time. So it's going to always be that way. The dollar bill, not so much. So anywho, guys, I appreciate y'all watching the videos. Remember what I always tell you. Jesus Christ loves you, and so do I. Y'all be safe and be prepared. And look at Thanksgiving right there. Now, I think that's female, so she ain't going to get no holiday name. These two tend to hang out a lot more together. That one over there that's getting white on his feathers, I'm just, you know, assuming that's a male. He doesn't really hang out with these. They all roost together, but he doesn't just walk around together like these two do. So we'll see how that works out. Y'all be good. Be safe.